I will start doing credits at the end of the stream, and I will list your name there as a thank you for being a contributor and helping the stream. And you'll also have access to the patron-only community. Then tier 2, you get all access patrons. So for $5 a month, you get access to work in progress. So just for $3 more, you get work in progress, behind the scenes, exclusive content, things that I'm only going to be posting on Patreon, things that are going to be posted that have never been posted before are going to be on Patreon. So you'll get access to that. You get access to finished pages of things that I do on stream, and you get access to the Discord server just like the previous stream, and your name is going to be listed in credits, as well as patron-only community. Then we got tier 3, which is critique submissions tier. So if you want to get some helpful hints and tips on how to improve your work, ways that you can, get better at drawing, this is a great tier for you. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Pretty much anything that I would discuss will be listed on here. You could read through it, and you guys can always contact me, ask me any questions that you have on stream, off stream, on social media, and I'll write you back, or I'll talk about it in the stream. But yeah, you just submit your work through the Discord channel. Once you subscribe to this tier, you'll get access to the Discord channel, so you can contact me there directly. Send me a private message, send me an image that you would like to have critiqued on stream, and also a link if you have like an Instagram, a DeviantArt, where people could see more of your work and some things that you're working on your journey. I'll include that as well when I'm doing a critique. Times are going to vary, it really depends how many submissions are going to be made, so that's going to change at some point. But for the time being, you could submit it as many times as you like. You could submit more work throughout the month for it to be critiqued. So $15 a month will give you access to that. You also get you'll get the artist submission Discord channel specifically for artists who submit their work, and you guys can interact there with each other, make connections, talk about anything under the sun, and pretty much everything else that's listed for the previous tier. And it's going to be held on Fridays. So if you guys check out the previous stream where I talk about all the changes in detail, you'll see the new schedule that's going to be starting next week. I'm going to be posting that as well, so you guys can take a look and see what the changes are starting next week. But Fridays is going to be critique day, and for 2 hours I'm going to be critiquing all the submissions I put in. But until then, I'm going to continue on with rotating the current streams in the evenings. So the change is going to be, the schedule change is going to be no more afternoons. Unfortunately, I got projects going on, so unfortunately I do have to cut out the afternoon stream. But I will be continuing to stream every day in the evening. So everything is just going to be shifted into the night stream from 8 until 10 p.m. And you guys can always tune in to check out what's going on then. Then we got the Kickstarter patrons. And this is $25 per month. You will be the first few patrons to get your portrait done. When you pledge to this tier, I will paint a high-resolution digital portrait of you on stream and personally send you the finished portrait to have you do as you will. So you could use it as your social media profile. You could send it to somebody that you're close with, or your significant other. Masks, makeup, glasses, expressive face expressions, hats, and accessories are all highly encouraged, but not required. You could just send me a portrait of yourself from your head down to right about like midway through your chest. And I will do a live stream painting of you. And that's going to be on Thursdays. So Fridays is going to be critique. Thursdays is going to be Kickstarter patron paintings. Where for 2 hours, I'm going to be doing that. And it's going to be painting. It's going to be a different process. It's going to be digital, but it's going to be a painting process rather than a drawing process. Should be interesting and fun to get into. And I think if you guys do include all these things, it'll make the stream even more fun, to see all these different ways you guys come up to create your portrait. All right, so quickly moving on, tier 5, artist promotion. This is for intermediate and advanced artists. Also $25 per month. You get 5-minute airtime at the beginning of the stream. This is an opportunity for you guys to expose your work, to share whatever it is that you're interested in with everybody from all the different social media platforms that I advertise on daily. And I'll also promote you on each one of them before the stream goes live. So that way you get even more, I guess, more avenues of exposure. So make sure you include your link as well when you're making these submissions, and read through this. This is really important. Important note for getting selected. You know, I don't want you guys to shell out $25 and then find out that the work isn't really suitable for the stream. I want to avoid that. I don't want you guys to waste $25. So make sure, if you're considering to be part of the stream, to have that promotion time, to first subscribe to tier 1. It's $2 a month. You can always cancel it. But it's a lot easier and safer to go about that way. And then you can contact me. You'll get access to Discord. You can contact me there with a link to your profile for me to check out your work and info about what you want to submit, that sort of thing. And then from there, we could take it and build on that. And then once you're selected, you could join this tier and submit your link to be streamed on stream. And then just read through the rest of the stuff. And if you guys, like I mentioned, if you have any questions, just ask me. I'll explain it even more so to you through any of the social media platforms, or even through this chat. Then we got tier 4, private tutoring. And this is more for people who want to get more one-on-one time. So you don't want to have your work live streamed. You want to have a more personal, private tutoring. This is an opportunity for you. You're going to get 15 to 30-minute videos, depending on how much work you've done on it, for a total of 4 videos per month, catered just for you, that will have hands-on input, step-by-step instructions, and demonstrations showing where you can improve, and as well as a PSD file that you can explore and use for guidance. There will be homework. You know, I do want you guys to improve. I do want to see you guys excel. So I'd want to give you some assignments in ways that could help improve whatever you're working on, or just your technique in general. So that's there as well. And you will also get a private Discord channel. So each person, there's only 15 available spots. You know, that's the amount of time that I could dedicate to it. Really is a time thing. I would do more of it if I had more time. So only 15 spots, but each person will get their own private Discord channel. So you guys can leave comments, you can leave your progress, you can leave any questions, and I'll write you back, or I'll talk about it in the video that I'm going to send you. But it's going to be just between me and you. Nobody else is going to have access to it, to keep it as a personal experience. You also get tier 4 members only Discord channel, where people who are part of this, the private tutoring tier, you guys can all connect with each other and get to know each other and pretty much talk about anything under the sun. That's the idea of it, is just to build a community. And then pretty much access to all the other benefits from the tiers, from the previous tiers as well. So check it out, guys. Look through it, see which one is appealing to you, and yeah, should be interesting, should be fun once more people get involved in it. And with that said, let's jump into drawing comics. So continuing where we left off yesterday, Conan is crucified after he was caught infiltrating the cultists. And he's been on an adventure trying to find this guy and confront him about his craziness. And we're getting closer and closer to that in the comic. And this is such a great page, as I mentioned before. It has so much diversity to it in terms of panel work. Face expression, anatomy is great. How he tells a story from panel to panel. The angles that he chooses. It's a great page. I really like it. There's a slight difference to my drawing as opposed to John Buscema's work. Like, it looks like the face expression that I have going on, he seems more haggard. I'll try to see if I could fix that. But I really do think that it has a lot to do with every single line that you make. So if for instance here, right, the line isn't straight, it could mean the difference between a raised eyebrow and a frowning eyebrow. Just minute little things like that can really transform the drawing and the impression that you get from the drawing. And just says that, like, every single person's take on anything is so individualistic. Like, as much as I'd like to draw this to the T, to train my eye at being able to recognize details better, it's still not going to be his lines. Yeah, it's just going to come close to it. In John Buscema's image, he looks more like, huh? Am I seeing things right? And I'm referring to this, even though there's like a bird's eye view, it's just for narration. But really, he's looking out and he's seeing like a figure in the distance. I'm just marvel at, the fact that tiny little details can really change that, can change that face expression. You just can't fudge things when it comes to anatomy. It really changes things completely. Or just drawing the human figure and face. Like, it just says, like, am I seeing things right? I think that's so cool. So cool. Drawing the little sweat droplets from him hanging in the desert. Yeah, it's cray. another perfect example of Buscema's incredible skill at understanding muscles and muscle groups. Like this area right here is a perfect example of it. Like he understands where all the muscles are, so when he makes these shadows, it makes sense. They're not just like placed for aesthetic, like some people when they're drawing parts of the body, they just know that this is aesthetically pleasing, so they'll draw something, but without really knowing exactly where they belong. So it'll be off. So this muscle would be off. It wouldn't make much sense, really. Whereas if you really understand how these muscles work with each other, you get it right. And it looks right to the viewer. And even just these lines right here, it's just to show curvature, to give the muscle more form without giving it a very defined line or a very dark shadow. And I'm also really inspired by his ability to use the brush when it comes to like the highlights on the head, on the hair rather, because they look so precise, like these little brush strokes that create this like feathering effect. And I'm kind of wondering whether he does it the same way as I'm doing it, where like in the pencil work, he just creates the guideline for it and then just finishes it off with the pencils, with the inks rather. Or if he does it in the inking process, so there aren't any guidelines for it and he's just so good at making these brush strokes that he doesn't need those guidelines there. I'm trying to understand actually the process by drawing these guidelines out to see if that's more doable or if the brush strokes while inking makes more sense. And I think it's the latter. Or maybe it's just done this way as well, like where it's just general idea of where you want them to be and then really fleshing them out with the inks. Another perfect opportunity to practice this other technique. That's something I mentioned before, which is the ability to recognize space difference between objects. So, for example, where do you draw this? When you're looking at the original and you're looking at your work, where do you start to draw, let's say, this part of the detail? How do you know? So the way to do that is like to say, okay, well, you could see that this detail on the original is pretty close to the dialog box. So that's a good starting point. And then how far it goes down, it's recognizing that it's not really touching the bicep or the shoulder, rather, not the bicep. It's barely touching it. There's a little bit of distance. So it's some sort of visual aid to help you establish limits for the detail, like where it starts, where its location within the panel is. It's by paying attention to the distance between objects. There's a little box here, dialog box. And it's another great benefit of drawing from comics or learning from comics already drawn is your ability to create panels. You know, so you have to think about all the structure. Like you have to draw in a way that, let's say for this, in this example, you'll leave room for dialogue boxes. You know, so along with understanding what kind of camera angles to use, practicing the face expressions like this, for example, just noticing these little details that go into like conveying a mood, conveying a certain look or feeling. You get all these other things that you have to really pay attention to. And I'm still amazed at how different my face expression looks from John Buscema's. Like, I think it's pretty close, but just tweaking tiny little details will eventually shape it to be exactly the same. I don't know. For example, like the way the mouth is drawn, right? Like if it's going, if the angle of the mouth is going for like downwards, that can convey a different mood as opposed to slightly being upward. And it seems like his head is a little bit more tilted than mine, like more towards, leaning more towards his left, my right. He's just like, huh? Am I seeing a mirage, or is that actually a person walking my way? And this is something that a lot of the Marvel movies don't have. It's their actors, and I understand it. I mean, I'd imagine being a big-time actor having to do these characters could seem a little bit silly at times. So it's kind of harder to convey these like real emotions, you know. And I think that's what the beauty of comics is that you're able to actually do that through the drawing. You're able to convey these very cool, real feeling emotions. And I'll be honest, I never watched any of these Marvel movies. Like the only ones I watched, and it's not even a movie, it was like the animation one, the Into the Spider-Verse. That's just amazing. Amazing level of creativity, animation. It's beautiful work. But none of those like live action movies. I think Batman was like the only one that really captivated me. Like I was watching Chris Nolan's versions. They're great. I think that they were really more detective thriller type movies than they were like a superhero movie. You know, it was a good movie. It was a good flick. It was a good film. It wasn't intended to be like, you know, just non-stop explosions and CGI and flying around and all that stuff. And I think that looks cool in comics. I think that really looks cool, seeing somebody able to draw that and make it look very interesting, and it leaves room for imagination for you to be able to just get into the scene. You know, the same way as when you're reading a book, you don't actually see the things. Your mind is creating it, which makes you part of it, really. So I haven't seen it, and maybe I've seen like the Avenger, like the very first ones, and I was like, no, I'm not watching this. This is it's terrible. The acting wasn't good. I thought that was really what threw it off. I thought the acting was terrible, and the costumes, you know. But I think it appeals more to kids. But I'm not going to say that as a whole. That's just my point of view. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it. But any of the animated ones, I'm all for. I think they're great. I do like that they're keeping comics alive. That's one thing that's positive about it, is that all these like Marvel characters being portrayed by like actual actors and stuff, it does help keep the industry going, I believe. Especially with like comic book stores not doing so well. With everything being digital, you know, you go on Comixology and stuff, but I personally would rather read an actual comic. Get one of those like neck lamps, I guess. You put them around your neck, and you could read it in any setting. And that's usually the problem that I've noticed. Like when it comes to books, even reading books, it's just being in a setting where you get good light. You know, so lamps or whatever else might not be great because you can't twist them around. You can't move them exactly to how you're sitting. But light has a lot to do with it. And I noticed that's the same case for drawing as well, like traditionally versus digitally. Like if my, prior to me paying attention to that, I wasn't really that thrilled at sitting down and actually drawing. Because I've noticed like there was something that was bugging me, something that was bugging the process or making it less enjoyable. And I didn't know what until I just really started to pay attention. I was like, let me think about it. Like what's wrong? Like what am I not enjoying? And I've noticed that I'm making these adjustments really changed my outlook and desire to doing it more traditionally. So what I'm getting at is like lighting makes a big difference. And if I get one of those like neck lamps, you just hang it around your neck and you just sit in whatever setting, you know, it could be like a more of a dim area, but you'll have that and you could change it around. You could like lay down, you could sit up, whatever, and you'll always have consistent amount of lighting on the book you're reading, on a comic book that you're checking out. So I would much rather just for like going into a shop, right, and like meeting people there and talking to people about new issues that come out or things that you really enjoy. I feel like that has really been lost because of this like digital obsession. You know, like I don't like going to bars. I don't like meeting people there. You know, so I think it's cool to be in a setting of mutual interest rather than the mutual interest being getting drunk or drinking, you know, or whatever else. Like I think it's such a broad environment. Whereas if you go to a comic book shop, you're more likely to find somebody who's interested in what you're interested in. So I think that's a huge underappreciation, I guess, for comic book stores. It shouldn't be just about sales, you know. And this is the problem with this, like, you know, money-driven kind of economical system, that it takes away everything outside of making money. It takes it out of the equation. If it doesn't make money, then it shouldn't exist, which destroys social interaction, right? Because, it doesn't make money, so it's not generating enough or whatever. It's like, yeah, but people aren't just living for money. People are living to also interact and enjoy life. And these environments are there for that specific reason, you know, so that people can interact with each other, can create a community of people who are interested in the same thing, get to know each other, that sort of thing. I think there should just be programs to keep things alive. Like, it's not about profit. It should just, like, let's say a government program that keeps comic book shops alive, because a lot of people in the community really enjoy it and want it to be around. And, you know, whether it makes profit or not, we live in a digital age. You could just print, you know, you could add zeros and then just send them digitally and have that be the currency to pay whatever. It's I think it's just ridiculous. Like, it shouldn't all be based on these rigid, profit-focused decisions. Soon everything is going to be out because it doesn't meet, like, this profit model that corporations that are extremely greedy are, like, taking everything out of business, hiking up the prices so that those businesses can't keep up with their manipulation, basically, of the market. They don't want to pay restaurant workers, you know, living wage, so no restaurants, because they can't stay afloat. People aren't going to continue working in restaurants while not being able to pay rent or whatever. Like, what's the point there? So those businesses go out of business because they're not paying their employees wages that are bearable, you know. So what's going to be left? And that's why I think, like I was mentioning, government programs that don't focus on profiteering, but are just focused on creating communities and keeping things that people enjoy alive and going. Many things wrong with capitalism. I feel like that should just be a podcast on its own. The economical and civil destruction caused by capitalism. Oops. there was a show that I really enjoyed watching when I had Netflix. I no longer support them. It was Comic Book Men, I believe, and it was just some of the people who were connected to Kevin Smith, and I believe Kevin Smith was the creator of it, where they just talk about all things comic book related. They have a comic book store that they're running, and they just discuss the whole that whole world, basically. And they'll have people come in talking about like just collections and their value and why and that sort of thing. It's fun. It was a fun show. When it comes to that, I really enjoyed it when they were talking about all those things, and just getting brief understanding of what the state of that whole scenario is, like comic book shops and that whole thing. But yeah, I no longer have Netflix, so I have no idea if it's still going, if that shop is still open. I'm pretty sure it is, because I think Kevin Smith is keeping it alive. He's like doing all sorts of events and that sort of thing. I think there might be just a little bit more work left on this panel. Like, I'm gonna try to perfect some things here and there, and then move on to the next panel. And these few panels might be a lot quicker, so you guys will get to see sooner than later what's gonna happen to them after this page. And I'm pretty excited. I'm moving along to this comic book. There's, I would say, maybe halfway through. No, not really. I'd say like 1/3 of a way through. It just feels that way because I've hopped around. Prior to this stream, I've hopped around to other panels as well that I just liked. But yeah, unfortunately, y'all, I have to end the stream for today for drawing comics. I will be back tomorrow, same time and place, to do more Conan the Barbarian. John Buscema's beautiful work. So check back then. I will be back today later on for the evening stream starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'm going to be doing my personal project that I'm currently working on. You guys can check that out. And at 9 p.m. I'm going to come back to coloring comics. I'm going to come back to Conan the Barbarian. I think it's going to be still color pencils. I'm going to do color pencils for another day, maybe 2, and then come back to watercolors on this paper as well. So just taking a little break from it to just explore color pencils, not really to take a break from watercolors, but I've been meaning to play around with them. It's a beautiful set. I wanted to show you guys all the different color ranges there, and there's like another whole section there, which is pretty cool. I just had it sitting around there for a really long time, and it's a perfect opportunity to play with them now. So check back in at 9 p.m. to see that process. And if you guys enjoy the content, hit the subscribe. Always get it wrong. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button to help the stream keep going. It goes a long way, and it helps out. And I will see you guys soon.